Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jersey Puffs here, and I wanted to talk to you guys about the beta for Doom, or Doom 4, as it used to be called. And it's the multiplayer beta, and I gotta say this at first. I just want to point out that when I was recording this, I was having a lot of trouble recording this with DxTory and Plays TV. Neither of those was working. I don't have Fraps, so some people were saying like you can use Fraps or Shadowplay. I don't have either of those. So I ended up using OBS, and I was recording it on windowed mode, and I wasn't able to capture the full screen, so some things might be cut off, some things might look a little jank. I do apologize for that, but that's not really the point. I'm not really going to showcase the gameplay of this game. I wanted to talk about the multiplayer and how it runs on my rig, and my overall thoughts on it, and why I think this game is a good game, the multiplayer at least. But personally, I don't like it. It doesn't fit my playstyle, like how I like to play my first-person shooter games. But I do think it is a solid multiplayer game. But we'll talk about more why it is a good game, and why some people who kind of criticize this game being very reminiscent of Halo, I think that they're wrong in making those allegations. I am running this game on my AMD Radeon R9 270, which has a 3 gigabyte video RAM, and also I have an AMD Radeon 6-core processor, 6300 6-core processor. That's like 3.5 gigahertz for each core. And so far, this game has its frame drops. In fact, a lot of people who have i5s and i7s say that, oh man, this is very frame droppy, and I do tend to agree. Some people with supercomputers that have like double video cards cross-firing with like their freaking Titans, and they're running it on their SSD. Yeah, you know what? Of course you're gonna get a solid 60 frames per second, but unfortunately, for most people who aren't rich or have super badass computers, we're getting frame drops. The lowest I've got was like 30 frames, and the most I've got was 65 frames, but the average would be around like 45 frames per second on my rig, and it jumps up and down very, very sporadically, and it's inconsistent with its frames. And of course, on the beta, you can't really change the video settings, because I'm pretty sure that the developers don't want you to show off the game. Like if you were to upload videos of this, they don't want people to see it in low resolution. They want people to see it in high, like the best texture, so that way it's the most appealing. I'm pretty sure it's a PR market scheme, but that's my assumption on why you can't really change the textures or the graphics. You know, you can't downsize it so that way it can work. And of course, the developers do have to work on their end to make sure that it runs on most video cards and CPUs. I'm probably going to repeat this over and over again, but honestly, this game does not really feel like a team shooter. Like, even though you do need teamwork, like most multiplayer games need teamwork, but it feels like Call of Duty, where you just feel more inclined to run around and do your own thing. And most of the time, if you do try to follow your teammates, they will most likely just do their own thing. Now, of course, I will do my own thing, but usually I end up walking into a crowd of enemies that know how to coordinate, know where to find other players, and usually just end up getting wrecked myself. Because in this game, you are more powerful if you're with your teammates. You are more powerful if you have more armor, and I think that's just like the kind of the issue of the game, where you don't feel inclined to use teamwork, unlike Team Fortress 2 or Rainbow Six Siege or Counter-Strike. I mean, those games, I feel inclined to follow my teammates, to play the objective and to win, you know. And this game does not make me feel that way. I just feel like playing Pyro, where I'm just W plus M1ing, and I'm just looking for the most kills as much as possible. And there are balancing issues with this game as well, where you need to where you become a revenant, and you'll just rack up all the kills whether you deserve it or not. I mean, it's because you just found it first, like the power up, which I will tell you and show you guys more about that in the gameplay later. So I never really played Unreal Tournament, but I have been told that it's very, very similar to Unreal Tournament rather than Halo, and I would have to agree, judging from what I've seen of Unreal Tournament. It's very fast-paced and arcadey. There's no aim-down sights. There are scoped weapons that you can use, such as with the sniper rifle, but I think that this game doesn't really necessarily need aim-down sights. A lot of people are saying, like, oh, it's so similar to Call of Duty. I mean, the only thing that's similar to Call of Duty is the fact that it's a first-person shooter, and even still, it's completely different from a lot of first-person shooter games that I've played. As of currently judging from the multiplayer, it does feel rather unbalanced. Most of the weapons are, seemingly balanced. The weapons that you get, such as like the rocket launcher, which is very fun to use, the super shotgun, which is crazy good, the assault rifle, which is one of my personal favorites, and you have a sniper rifle, you have a chain gun, you have a bunch of like really, really interesting guns that you can use that kind of feels in a way like Team Fortress 2, the way how they mechanically how they work out, such as like the static rifle, which whenever you're on the move, it charges up, and if you stop moving, it stops charging. It slowly charges down, and if you switch your weapons, it slowly charges down as well. And if you get it fully charged, you could do about like 65 damage, which is pretty cool, and it's a hit scan as well. So I think it's a pretty interesting gun. It's not really the best. I think like the best guns are the assault rifle, the super shotgun, the sniper rifle, and the chain lightning gun. But that's about it. Everything else is pretty alright. They're situational at some times. And the sniper rifle is well, I already said it was pretty good, but what I wanted to say was the rocket launcher is actually pretty good, generally speaking, but I think that the other weapons are objectively better. The things that I wanted to talk about that I feel a little bit unbalanced are really the power-ups. They're in the beta, there's only 2 power-ups that I know. One is like the Gauss rifle gun, which is like a one-shot kill weapon that you can scope in, and it's a hit scan, and I don't think you really need to charge it. You can just like click and you can just instantly murder somebody with that, but you only get like 4 rounds to it. The other one is when you get it's like this new game mechanic, not really like I guess it's their game mechanic, where you can get possessed and you turn into a demon, which is one of them is called the Revenant, and I'm pretty sure that there are going to be other demons that you can summon, that you can turn into, but as far as I can tell right now, you are a demon that has a friggin' jetpack, and you can shoot rocket launchers. Now, of course, like you can say that if all your teammates, if all your teammates team up, which they don't, you can instantly take down that Revenant, and it won't be as overpowered as most people would say it would be. But the problem is with this game is that there isn't really the feeling of teamwork. Like, there hasn't been one moment where I felt like I needed my teammates or I needed to follow my teammates. Like, I always went on my own direction, because most of the time your teammates, they go in really, really obscure directions where you're like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? I don't want to follow you because you're going in a weird, awkward direction. So you tend to go on your own, and then you'll find that the other team, your enemy team, they're all moving together as like a wolf pack, and they will instantly kill you. The problem with this game is that most of the time it's usually about how much armor that you have when you find the pickups, and depending on if you have your teammates following you up, providing you more DPS, if you will. I think that's the thing that sets like each team apart, is who's following who and how much armor that they have. And that's kind of strange to say, how the armor really affects how well you're gonna do. I mean, if you can take more damage, you can deal more damage, obviously. So let's just say like I have 50 armor and the other person only has 10, and we have the same, like let's just say we're using the same assault rifle and we're just shooting each other point blank, you know, not moving at all. Obviously I'm gonna win if we're shooting the same weapon, you know, like I'm just gonna have more health. So right there, you know, you can say that you can use your maneuverability, which is a double jump, which is kind of like Call of Duty. I guess that's where people were making, like they were drawing similarities between Call of Duty and Doom. But it's still very different. I mean, it's just like a double jump, a really heightened jump that's kind of like Halo-ish. And if you're able to maneuver very well, then you should be able to outplay some enemies. But most of the time, it's really just based on how much armor you have and how much time you decide to dedicate exploring the map and looking for armor. Now, in my honest opinion, I think the armor should be removed, or everybody should just start off with, you know, X amount of armor, and there should be like no armor pickups whatsoever. Because I don't even think that you should even need armor to begin with, is because, you know, if I spent time looking for armor and I get like about like 50 to 100 armor, I'll mostly win most of the time because I just have way more health than the other person, which is really not fair because sometimes I spawn in a really crummy area and then there's like an enemy right there, you know, and I'm just like, oh crap, there's an enemy right there. I start shooting, you know, and I'm usually the first person to get the first shot on, and they still end up killing me because they just had way more armor than me. So I think that's a balance issue. If you want to play this game competitively, I think they really, really, really need to look into stuff like that. Is because I think like the armor really does give some players a huge advantage in firefights, and it can be not fair to most people because, again, like I could just spawn right next to a guy who just has full armor, and then I'm trying to survive and I end up losing. And trying to run away and outmaneuver them is kind of hard within itself. Now, of course, this game is very, very fun. I mean, it's really fun. It's different. It's refreshing. I don't see it similar to other games, like completely similar to other games, other than just Unreal Tournament. But I think it's an interesting concept. I personally don't like the gameplay itself, like how the multiplayer plays. Because I feel like I'm just hitting the W key on my keyboard, and I'm just spamming my mouse one, like it's WM1. It's freaking, I feel like I'm the pyro from Team Fortress 2, especially if you're using the assault rifle. It's just W plus M1. And honestly, like I know that there is a skill factor to it, but I just don't feel like it's there. I could just be really bad at the game. But it's just too fast paced for me, and it's something that I don't like to play. Like I like to play first person shooter games like Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six Siege. You can see it in my channel. You know, I play a lot of those, or Nosgoth, which is also fairly skill based. But when it comes to Doom, I feel like it's more about how much stuff that you have and how many teammates are backing you up, because you know, the more firepower you get, the more likely you will win most firefights. And also with the Revenant, I mean, it's fun. It's a fun concept, but I don't see that it should be used as a competitive in like competitive or something, because you know, like depending on where you spawn and depending on where that particular power up spawns, if somebody gets, it's like if somebody dies and like I've had plenty of times where I died and I spawned right next to it and I just got it and I started going ham, and it's very powerful because like the missiles that you shoot are usually just one hit kills. And I think it's very, very like it's just situational. It's just there for fun. I don't see it being used competitively. And again, like if a loser a teammate that sucks and he ends up getting it, I mean, you're gonna end up with a teammate that's not really gonna help you and just ends up losing the stupid power up and then giving it to somebody else, which kind of sucks as well. Like I just feel like a lot of the times when somebody gets the power up, it's usually undeserved. Either somebody who knows what they're doing will get to it immediately, or somebody who's really bad that spawns next to it gets to it and then loses it immediately. I think there's just a huge balance issue at that point. Now, honestly, this game has a lot of things going right for it. It's just the game mechanics I just have an issue with. It's not necessarily the gunplay, it's more about the power-ups and the armor is more of my issue. But one of the things that they definitely get right is the fact that you can customize literally everything. You can customize the wear and tear of your gun, of your armor, the pattern of your armor. You can have different armor styles on each arm and your chest. You don't necessarily have to go by a certain set. It's all aesthetic. Now, on the beta, I've noticed that when you enter a game and you start playing Team Deathmatch, you all look the same. You're all a blue character. So I don't know if that's the beta's fault or it's how the game is, and the aesthetics are completely irrelevant. But I do notice when you actually play the game, everything that you customize, your color, your wear and tear, it's all you're gonna look the same when you enter the game. Now, I'm not so sure if that's just Team Deathmatch or if that's the fact that they haven't really implemented your custom sets in the actual game itself. I'm not so sure what's going on with that, but that to me is an issue. The only thing that stays the same is your customized weapons. I think that this game really needs teamwork, but unfortunately it just doesn't feel like I should follow my teammates. It doesn't make me want to follow my teammates. It just makes me want to go in my own direction, because again, you're going to end up with people who are just going to do their own thing. Now, obviously, you can say, oh, just play with your friends, and then you'll have a good time. I mean, whenever I play Team Fortress 2, at least 70% of your public team will play the objective, help you out, know what they're doing, and the other 30% are just going to go AFK, be a stupid heavy, and start eating their sandwiches. But, but like when you play Team Fortress 2, you immediately just want to use teamwork. And when you play Counter-Strike, you immediately just want to use teamwork. When you play Rainbow Six Siege, you really want to use teamwork. But in this game, like, you don't feel like you need to use teamwork. Like, it feels like Call of Duty. and there I go again, making comparisons. But it feels like Call of Duty, where I'm just gonna run my own direction. You will be a force to be reckoned with if you had teammates following you, or if you were following teammates. But a lot of the times they just don't even know what they're doing themselves, and I don't even know what I'm doing myself. So I don't even like it when people follow me. But that's just my opinion on the game. Like, I think it's fun and it's interesting, and Doom isn't really known for their multiplayer anyways. It's more known for their single player. But honestly, like, I feel like most people are judging it for all the wrong reasons, and I think that it's a very solid game. It's just different, and all the allegations and all the assumptions are just really, really freaking stupid. So I don't know. Like, I'd say if you played the open beta, you know what I'm talking about. I hope you know what I'm talking about, and I hope that you somewhat kind of see where I'm coming from. I'm not trying to say that I'm right, and I'm not trying to say that other people. I mean, I am trying to say that other people are wrong, but they are entitled to their own opinions as well as I am. But let me know what you guys think, if you played it, or what you think about this really, really poor quality video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace and love.